let's head back to the office and talk about why you might want to have a really long string on your ball sometimes. All right, so what we're about to talk about is some really technical, pointy end stuff of dog training. If you're after advice, on basic dog training, how to raise a puppy, that kind of stuff, there's loads of other videos out there, some of them mine that maybe can help you with that. This is more about the 1%ers, and in my opinion, this kind of stuff is the glue that binds the big stuff together. So, what we're really talking about when we're talking about like why you might want a really long string on your ball, and this is, I can't stress enough how this is a luxury item. This is not something everyone must do or that you can't train a dog without, right? But one of the reasons you might want that, it all relates to reinforcement. Now let's use the word reward because we're only going to be talking positive reinforcement. We can break that into lots of different categories, right? So there's reinforcement in position, there's reinforcement out of position, there's terminal reinforcement where it means the behavior is over and you go and get your reinforcer or it comes to you. And there is, duration reinforcement that, you pay in position. What we're talking about is a terminal release, and it's a payment out of the behavior or a terminal release where the payment comes into the behavior. Why would you want to choose one over the other? The thing is, I think when I'm teaching behaviors that the terminal release that, the dog bursts out of the behavior and goes and gets a reinforcement creates a more flashy, kind of powerful version of that behavior. In fact, I think there's a direct correlation to the way that the dog leaves a behavior to get its reinforcer or its reward. That's directly correlated to the way that the dog will enter the behavior in order to earn that reinforcement. So I build a lot of power exiting the behavior. The problem with that becomes that dogs always will drift towards the reinforcer. So reinforcement, placement, and delivery become really, really important. If you're always paying the dog out of position, then he will begin to anticipate the release and the break from position to go and get the reinforcer. So sometimes, even for behaviors that we're not going to pay for duration, we're going to pay terminally, we want to pay in position, and that will increase the stability of the behavior. So having the ball on the string allows me to do that from behind the dog. So one of the things you might have seen online, a lot of knee popo people do this, but certainly anyone trained by Bart, you're likely to see them with their dog barking at the ball. And what they're doing there is kind of replicating or training alone the bark and hold that would normally be at the helper or the decoy or the bad guy for people who don't understand those terms. When we're doing that as a helper, as the decoy, there's two ways that we can reinforce a dog. One is for the handler to tell the dog to bite and the dog goes towards the decoy. And that's a very common way of doing it. But if you do that all the time, we end up with what we call like the dog being dirty, which is taking, anticipating that release and taking bites that it doesn't yet have permission to take. So as a helper, we often then go towards the dog, right? And we pay the dog in position for having done the right thing. We pay him, if it's IGP, we might pay like that. By having the ball on the long string, it allows us to do the same thing. So in the video you just watched, you see I'm manipulating his head position, and that would be like looking at the helper, looking at the decoy, looking at the bad guy. A lot of sports involve barking in that. My dog has a silent guard. He doesn't bark in that instant, so you don't see him barking. By releasing him to go towards it, creates that powerful out, and he'll be, more intense on his entry to a bite when I train it that way. But if I always do that, he's going to anticipate that and he's not going to be as sticky in the behavior as I really would like. So If I notice that he's starting to anticipate release or he's not as tight in the behavior as I'd like, paying him in position terminally by flicking the ball towards him will help strengthen that behavior by reinforcing it, making it more likely. Can't stress enough that this is really technical, nuanced sort of stuff. Most people don't need to worry about this. This is only if you're sort of looking to squeeze extra points out of your sport or to just get a little bit more out of your dog. There's loads of other ways to train this as well. This is not the right way. It maybe isn't even the best way, but it's just a way. And it's one of the reasons that I use the ball on a string, a really long string. There's loads of other reasons. And in fact, this is probably not the key reason I use this or have this. In fact, this one I've been working with and traveling with, I've had for a number of years. Plenty of dogs have bitten this, I can tell you. And for the most part, it's for a completely separate reason. But if you're interested in that, let me know in the comments and I'll make the video. Just a little follow-up to the durofoam balls. A lot of interest in them. Like I say, I've been using them for a long time. This is what happens when they eventually fail. They just tear out like that. And then, truth is, I kind of recycle those for a little while, and I use that as a ball absent the string for training different behaviors as well. So it's not the end of the world when they tear. They will eventually. And anyone that tells you that a dog toy is indestructible has probably not worked with really high drive dogs and use the toy very much. Balls are still available from Einswick Dog Quip. Again, not sponsored by him, but he's a friend, and that's where you can get them. And instead of being the Houso version like me of attaching your own bit of string, you can get them custom made to whatever length you want. My personal ones, I have a big and a small ball that are 30 centimeter string, and I have a big and a small ball here with the 1 meter string. So you do you, but that's what I use. That's how I do it. Thanks for listening. If you're interested in this kind of more technical stuff, let me know and I can keep making it. This is the kind of thing that I really enjoy. Those little 1%ers, that glue that binds together the big bits, that's where I really enjoy talking and teaching about. Hi, it's 4 in the morning, editor Pat here. I just thought I'd point out that if you've made it this far into the video, you're either about to leave some fire comment about how full of shit I am in the comments, or maybe you like this kind of stuff and you're into the way that I teach. So I thought this is probably a good time to point out that I have a whole online course. There'll be a link in the description to that. And it's this sort of really technical, dog training stuff designed to get the most out of your dog. And it starts at the start. We go through everything you need to know, but for the higher level, more technical dog training. Anyway, that's it. I'm going to let myself wrap up this video. That's it. Thanks for joining me.